out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
Plenty of people to throw under the bus tonight as we get ready for the NBA Finals. We get ready for college baseball's regionals. We got French. We are the only podcast probably in America with our own French Open tennis correspondent, and plenty more to get into. Let's begin with the NBA playoffs. We've got the finals set. Not what the networks wanted, but probably in the end, the two teams that deserve to be there. Oklahoma City for sure, and Indiana for probable. Rich, no Knicks hat.
No, not tonight. Can't. The season's over. And I'll tell you, the Knicks, every time you thought the Knicks might come back, they got down 2-0, they win. Okay, it's 2-1. You think, okay, they got a shot here. Now it's 3-2. Of course, the sixth game. They're so up and down, and you hear these people talk after the series is over about, well, they got to improve their bench. They don't play a bench. Improve it. He never let them play a bench. He played more guys in this last playoff series, than he had through the year. Maybe he played those guys during the year, they maybe could contribute a little bit better. But it's here. Listen to this number. Listen to these numbers. The famous number, not famous, but lucky number 17. The Pacers were 17 for 33 from the three-point line for 52%. How 52% is tremendous. Why is that? Because the Knicks don't do a very good job defending the three. They don't. The ball goes in, they sink to the post, and then they kick it out. Why are we sinking in? They don't score any points inside the paint. I mean, on drives they do, but I mean by posting the guy up and kicking it inside. So they sink down and they kick it out, and they shoot 17 for 33. The Knicks, 17 for 26 from the free throw line. 17 for 26. An NBA team shoots 65%.
There's a candidate to throw under the bus right there.
Right there. Okay, my next 17 number, 17 turnovers. 17, you can't win by 17.
That guy looks like the prophet of doom. He's the prophet of doom.
And
come on.
And then the Pacers won by 17 points.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. You want this guy coaching your team for another season? I don't know. Let me ask you something, Rich. I had the biggest problem I had with Knicks fans during the series. They had the epic game one where Halliburton's ball bounces to the heavens and comes down. Okay. Right. Knicks fans have been screaming ever since, oh, we blew that game. If we'd won that game, we'd have won this, blah, blah, blah. They don't remember that game 3, the Pacers totally blew. They were up 20. They were up 20 and blew the game to the Knicks. So that evened out. So don't give me the.
No, I agree. No, I totally agree with that. I totally.
Yeah.
They're supposedly known for their defense. Where was their defense? I mean, they gave up so many layups after made baskets when it's easier to get back, and then in transition off a missed shot. And they scored 4 uncontested layups. That should never happen. Even at the high school level, that shouldn't happen, never alone in the NBA. That shouldn't happen.
I see. At least on offense, the Knicks have invented a new play on offense. The knee to the crotch starter. The knee to the crotch. I mean, go up if it was a shot. How about when OG went up and he got Siakam right in the crotch, and they do a review of it? And the ref said that was a normal shooting form. What are you talking about? The announcers went nuts. They couldn't believe it. Remember that play? And then Towns did the same thing in the fourth quarter to Turner or somebody. He goes in with his knee right to the crotch, floors the guy. And he's on no foul on Towns, and Towns goes to the line, and he missed both free throws, which led to a huge Indiana rally in the game, actually.
Well, I mean, you just mentioned the thing, no fouls. I've never seen a game where guys held each other. It was brutal both ways. I don't mean just against the Knicks, both ways. It wasn't basketball. They were not playing basketball. It was like a rugby game, holding each other, grabbing their shirt, holding their arm. It was Brunson and of course, Indiana Pacers too, guys. How can you get open when guys are grabbing you like that? That's not the way basketball is supposed to be played. It's not supposed to be played that way.
Okay. Short question, short answer, Rich. Bob, okay. What do the Knicks do for next year? What do you do? Do you trade somebody? Do you go away from Towns? Do you get
I
the
think you go away
prophet
from
of doom?
Towns.
Get the
I mean,
prophet of
Towns
doom back
is
to coach?
soft. Towns is soft, and he's not a good defensive player. And he's so up and down with his offensively. Now, he averaged over 20 points and over 11 rebounds a game. So when you look at the stats, that's pretty darn good. But he is soft. Do you see how many times he walks up the court? He can't even get up the court half the time, especially in the second half. It's terrible. He getting paid $53
Okay.
million,
Okay.
$53
So
million
you
next year. Get rid
okay.
of Towns.
So do you
And
make the big move and go for Giannis? You go for Giannis?
I would
Yeah.
give up him, even give up Bridge. I mean, Bridges and OG are not great shooters. They're not. Bridges had 15 points in the third quarter, did not score in the fourth,
Yeah.
and had one rebound for the whole game.
Okay, we
One
get him out
rebound.
of here. We get him out. We get Towns out. We bring in
Yep.
Giannis, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you do. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. You think it's going to
Solution
happen? I
solved.
don't think it's going to happen,
Excellent.
but
Solution solved.
I
That's
think
so-
you got to have DeBusschere and Earl Monroe, or you're not going
yeah,
anywhere.
for sure. Yeah, we'll take Dick Barnett and Mike Reardon.
I got another basic peeve. This is on basic NBA. I always bring this up, but when you grow up learning basketball, you're supposed to only shoot when you have teammates under the basket, right? Isn't that a thing? That is the
Yeah.
total joke. These guys shoot. If you see these guys shoot, nobody's under the basket on their team, and they're taking threes. And then if they miss, they just go down the other way. The other thing is, you were supposed to follow your shot. I was taught when you
Right.
shoot, you follow your.
That
What a
doesn't
joke!
happen.
You ever see that in the NBA?
No,
Nobody.
no. Well, I challenged you guys last week to come back with what they run offensively, diagram what they run
I know,
offensively.
yeah.
What'd you come up with?
Zippo.
Nothing.
Zippo.
Zippo, exactly.
Shoot the
Exactly.
three and start backwards. Yeah,
Yeah, really.
while you're
Exactly.
backpedaling, but then don't play any defense on the other end.
Okay,
How about,
postmortem on enough with the Knicks. Postmortem on the other side, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I got a question about the game 4. Now this was a key game. Denver was up a couple, and I'm going back to another series, but I just want to bring up, a lot of people want a rule that says if you're up 3 late in the game, you can't foul.
Oh, that's
If you're up 3, you can't foul to allow the other team, to go to the line. Oklahoma City did that several times when they're up in that game 4. Remember that? And
Yeah.
Minnesota, you went to the line. What do you think? That seems to me a contrived rule. I don't think
Yeah.
I'd like it. But
no,
what do you
I
guys
don't like
think?
that rule either. But I'll tell you the rule that I think they should put in, like when they were fouling Robinson, the guy from the Knicks who can't shoot free throws,
Hack a
and they
guy,
just come
hack a
down the
guy.
thing, they just shove him and
Yeah.
hold on to him. That I don't like that. That's not playing basketball. The
No
other thing
hacker guy.
Curry,
It is. It's taking the worst free throw shooter on the other team, and it's making
I
him
know.
play better.
Well, that's true too.
I'm
but
good with that.
You would think
Well,
a
you
professional
take
basketball
it-
player could shoot better free throws than what he
Yeah,
shoots.
But
But
if you're the coach, you take him out of the game. That's all. You have to take
you
him out
have
of the game.
to. You have
Yeah.
to. Late in the
Yeah.
game, you
If
have
you're the
to do it.
coach, but you can't take him out of the game if we've already thrown him under the bus.
Well,
Hey, I wanted to quickly just ask Rich, ever have a guy with a triple-double and no turnovers like Halliburton had in the one game of
No.
that series? How about that?
no.
Triple-double and not a single turnover. That's woo.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob. Moving on to the finals. Let's move to the finals. We have this Titans of the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder, won 68 games. They lost one game against the Eastern Conference. One game. Your
They were
Cleveland Cavaliers
29-1 against
Yeah.
the East.
Yeah.
Rich,
Now, how do you think Halliburton is going to do against their defense?
well, isn't he the guy that Dort is going to cover when they play man-to-man? And
Dort and
Dort
about 5 other guys after Dort. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Dort made the all-defensive team. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma City is one of the greatest if they win, if they win this thing, they'll actually have to consider them. They may blow it and blow the whole thing, but wow. I mean, they are the second youngest team in the league. They won 54 of their 68 wins, were by double digits. They've won 4 games in the playoffs by 30 or more. I mean, they're really
Yeah,
good. And by the way, their GM has 13 first-round picks in the next 7 years.
Wow.
The problem is, this series has sweep.
They're going to go get. They're going to go get Giannis.
The problem is, as you said earlier, Bob, if they do sweep, and it's got sweep written all over it, or even a gentleman sweep 4 or 5 games, the ratings are going to be so terrible. I mean, it's going to be the worst rated NBA Finals in ever, maybe.
I've always thought the ratings. Hey, if you watched it and you enjoyed it, that's all that matters. The ratings for the series are a number, and obviously it means money and all of that. But hey, if I'm going to watch the series, which I might that's all that matters. Is did I watch it? Did you watch it? That's the ratings.
I'll watch. Rich will watch, but Rich, I got a problem to ask you. Anthony Edwards, Minnesota's quote face of the league.
Right.
He had a lot of bad looks at the end of this series, and the game 4 where they got beat, and he came out afterward and says they asked him why is he struggling. He said, "I'm not struggling. I'm fine. I'm making all the smart plays." Well, he's a star. He took 13 shots in the game. He's the star of the team. He's got that was a really bad look, and then they get beat. They lose it all, and they ask him if he feels hurt. He says, "No, I don't feel hurt. I'm just 23 years old. I got a lot of these to go." What? Yeah. I mean, this is a bad look for this guy.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, he is their go-to guy without a doubt. And shooting only 13 times in the game, and he kind of blamed it on his teammates that they didn't get him the ball enough.
Yeah.
But you know what? But he's got to create shots himself. The best players create. LeBron, they create their own shots. And he's had some really good games that you just sit there and go, "This guy's amazing." And then all of a sudden he gets lost. Like, what happens to him? Where did you go? And I think he loses concentration and focus. Yes, he's young, but some of his comments are often, I hate to use this word, but they're stupid. You got to be a team player.
That series might have come down to a man to man. Edwards against Gilgeous. I call him Gilgeous because I'm sick of this. Gilgeous Alexander. I don't want to call the guy 4 names. I like to call him Gilgeous. But Gilgeous, Gilgeous goes out and gets 35. He gets 35 like it's in the sweep. Yeah.
Right.
And Edwards did not respond at all to that. I didn't think, maybe one of the games.
Well, when he's being challenged, the best players, when they're challenged, they rise to the occasion, right? Yeah. He doesn't always rise to the occasion. Sometimes he does.
Rich, you're the coach. How does Indiana win this thing?
Wow, they're an up-tempo team, right? I mean, they can't slow it now. I mean, you can't slow it down and control the tempo of the game because they love to run. That's how they beat the Knicks. They wore them out, and they get up and down the floor. I guess they kind of continue to do that. I think it goes 5 games. I think Oklahoma City wins in 5. I think they steal a game someplace, somewhere, because Oklahoma City, in a couple of series, they gave away a couple of games where they just didn't come to play. So I'm thinking one of those games is going to happen. They just have to continue to play the game and dig it up. If you look at their stats,
they're so good
is 3rd in the NBA in offense and 1st in defense, where Indiana is 8th in offense and 13 in defense. But they have to be able to play. And they play good defense against Knicks. You can't take that away from them. And they got to play even better defense against Oklahoma City if they have a chance to win.
Right. The quote of the round, though, still belongs to Kenny Smith, who said of a guy we've thrown under the bus, he said he wouldn't play 9 guys in a baseball game.
Right.
I thought that's still the quote of the playoffs.
You're going back to the Knicks again. I got another under the bus. All right. I got under the Timothy Chalamet. He keeps wearing these dark sunglasses to the game every game. It's nighttime. It's inside. He's wearing dark sunglasses.
He doesn't want anybody to see his eyes. He doesn't want anybody to see his eyes.
Chalamet, Luckily,
Curry, I watched you during the Showtime dynasty. I watched you, and you never said that about Jack Nicholson when he was courtside in his sunglasses. Come on now.
That's right.
That was cool, right?
yeah, well, Jack was cool. Yeah, that's it.
All
But,
right.
you know,
Let's take a break.
His girlfriend. Well, I got a segue.
Oh, go ahead.
for
Go
you.
ahead. Go. I'll finish your story. I'm sorry.
Chalamet's girlfriend, whose name I can't even. What's her name? She's this Kardashian. Jenna. Yeah. Luckily, she does not wear sunglasses because she's so gorgeous. So who cares about Chalamet? But I saw where unprecedented Chalamet. I love to say his name. His former girlfriend Eliza Gonzalez came out and praised the new couple. Said they look so cute and so great, and that's unprecedented to this. So the guy must be, and Eliza Gonzalez has. This is my segue. Has gone from Chalamet to a top 10 tennis player, Grigor Dimitrov. You didn't know that, right?
Oh, I did not.
And also, you didn't know this. And also, you didn't know this. And Grigor reached number 3 in the world last year. I mean, he's a real player. He's from Bulgaria. He's the best player from Bulgaria ever. But now here's another thing. He just got injured. He got injured in the first round and retired from the French Open just last week. Unfortunately, that's 4 in a row for Grigor. He's retired from the last 4 major championships with an injury. That's unbelievable. The first man ever do that. They call it the Grigor Slam.
He's retired more times than Brett Favre.
That moves us into tennis, Bob, for the next round. Okay.
All right, we can do that. We're going to talk tennis then, I guess. The French Open, and we're actually going to talk a little golf today too. Golf. We're going to segue from golf to baseball in the same moment. When we come back, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks, great seafood restaurant, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Hudson'sOnTheDocks.com. It's a great time to come visit before things get too crazy. Check out their website, Hudson'sOnTheDocks.com. We're back with more Under the Bus. Welcome back Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. All right, we've got our own French Open correspondent, the guy who's paying more attention to it than probably anybody on this side of the pond. Curry Kirkpatrick, besides Grigor and his hot girlfriend, who will not be seen in the royal box at Roland Garros. I love saying Roland Garros. Anyway, what do you talk French Open?
Well, everybody is kind of winning as we go along here. There haven't been a lot of upsets. Tiafoe and who's the other guy? Tommy Fall just made it into the quarterfinals. So we have 2 Americans in the final 8. The great match, though, was played by another American, Ben Shelton. I don't know if you saw him over the weekend. Played a great match against Alcaraz. And, of course, the match got a lot of attention because Alcaraz gave up a point that he had basically won. And he said he is one of these, he dove for the ball and he flipped his racket. The ball hit the racket and it was a winner on the other side. It was a winner for Alcaraz. But he said, no, it's not my point, because he said the racket was out of my hand when it hit the ball, which is a fault. And no, he loses the point. And so he gave the point to it was a big point too in the second set to Ben, and an amazing gesture just to show how tennis, just like golf, is the players, do themselves. They officiate themselves.
Except the difference between tennis and golf is I'm not seeing McEnroe or Connors ever do that.
I don't know. I don't know.
Can you see Johnny Mac go to the ump and says, "No, I don't want that point. The racket was out of my hand."
It's a different era, different personalities, I guess. I didn't know that rule. I used to do. I played tennis. I used to play tennis. I did that all the time. because so many balls went past me. I'd flip my racket out of my hand at the ball, try to hit the ball back. I thought it was a point if I won.
You're
And I
just
made
never
a
good
couple of
enough
them.
to hit the ball,
I
right?
made it. Yeah, exactly. I made a couple of them, but I didn't know that that wasn't going to go to me either. But
Interesting stuff. Anybody to throw under the bus at the French?
The defending champion Iga Swiatek has won this thing. She's going for 4 in a row. She's won it 4 times, but 3 of them in a row. And she lost the first 8 games of her match on Sunday to Elena Rybakina, who's one of the big servers on the tour. She lost the first 8 games, and then she was down a break in the 3rd game of the second. So, and she came back to win the match. Unbelievable stuff from her. And the 4, Coco's advanced, Sabalenka's advanced. They're all the top women are now going to be in the Final 4, I think. So it makes.
Do any of the Americans get closer than the 8?
Well, American men.
Men, yeah.
Well, Tiafoe and Tommy Paul beat nobodies. They beat guys I never even heard of myself to get to the 8. So they're going to start to play people. Yeah, one of them. I think Paul is going to have to play Alcaraz in the next round. So exit left for Tommy. But I just love the French. It's a great event, and it's all on. It's on all day. If you check, TNT has gone from being their last NBA Finals to now hyping the French Open as much as they can. Yeah. Turner
Network Tennis.
And they've got everybody. They got the McEnroe brothers doing it. They have, Gracie Austin now has come in. They even have Agassi's going to start doing stuff, although I haven't seen him yet.
Curry, you've talked to tennis players and golfers. They are both usually very good quotes. They are probably the best athletes to interview. Which did you prefer, tennis or golf? Who's to interview for stories?
Well, I'd have to say tennis players. I did a lot more tennis than golf. In fact, I remember trying to do a story on Colin Montgomery, and I'd go around talking to some of the, the tour names, and guys wouldn't talk to me about him. I guess they, because he wasn't that popular. Yeah, he wasn't very popular. So I guess they didn't want to. If they didn't want to say any bad stuff, they still wouldn't say anything.
Tennis players would throw them under the bus, though, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah. They do that.
They throw each other under.
I'll tell you, Lee Trevino was one of the great characters I ever did stories on. We made him Sportsman of the Year one year, and I got to go to El Paso for Lee Trevino Day, and so I got pretty close to him for several years. And what a great character he was.
Indeed. Good stuff. Anywhere else we want? We got a great catch-all segment coming up. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk golf a little more, and we're going to talk about a retired number coming up that is a weird number in a weird town, and it's going to be something special. We'll get all to it when we come back and throw somebody under the bus. Brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Welcome back under the bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. Let me throw out my big golf note of the day. Scotty Scheffler, of course, wins the Memorial, Jack Nicklaus's tournament. I feel bad because Jack's starting to show his age a little bit, and I hope he's here forever. Barbara, his wife, who is the all-time golf wife, is also they're both getting older. They got 900 grandkids. Their lives are full. They're doing great. Anyway, Scotty Scheffler wins for the 3rd time in his last 4 starts. He has won as many times on the PGA Tour in the last month as the Colorado Rockies have won on the baseball diamond in the last month. Legitimately, Colorado had 3 wins in the month of May, and so did Scotty Scheffler. How about that?
I
That's
wish
pretty
I could
darn
get
good.
excited about Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he's doing some historical stuff, and if he keeps doing it, he's going to be right up there with Tiger and Jack at the end of his career. But man, it's so hard to. The guy is so boring. He's like a machine, and he wins these tournaments by 8, by 6, by 5. He gets my Carolina guy got on him in the 4th round, got real close, and then just faded away. And Scotty just machine like. He doesn't make any mistakes.
And you don't even get a good fist pump, a good
No.
show of emotion. Give
No.
me something. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Scotty, do something here.
Boy, he's good though.
He's really good.
He is
Well,
terrific. While we're into
the US
baseball,
Open-
while we're into baseball, the Rockies are historically horrible. We used to beat on the White Sox quite a bit last summer.
Right.
These guys make the White Sox look like a pennant contender. What, 9-50? That's just
Well, I think
horribly.
it's the quickest way to 50 losses in the history of baseball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be teams, maybe not this year, but there are occasionally teams that don't lose 50 in a whole season. And they're going to lose. Yeah, they've already lost 50. Right. Speaking of numbers in the 50s, the Mariners are going to retire the number 51 here very soon. It was not worn by one, but by two of their legends. 51, a weird number, being retired for who?
I'm going to guess. I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to guess the Japanese guy.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
The Japanese
Ichiro.
guy.
He has a name.
Ichiro.
Ichiro. So, yeah.
Yeah, for
Ichiro.
sure. That's the person, but I can't think of the second one.
The other one's the tall guy.
Randy Johnson. Randy
Randy
Johnson.
Johnson, is that right?
Randy
Yes.
Johnson wore 51
right.
when he
What a
pitched for the
great-
Mariners, and so did Ichiro. And I'm not sure. There probably are stories behind why each one of them picked 51, but it's pretty
an odd
amazing.
number.
Well, that's a
odd
great
number.
answer. I got, my peeve against baseball. Baseball
Yeah.
does not promote itself enough.
No.
I'm watching the Dodger Yankee series, which was great. Rich, 18-2 game
That's
2.
awful. That's ridiculous.
And Judge gets 2 home runs and then he goes hitless in the 3rd game. But the 3rd game
Right.
was nothing. But and then they start talking about the Seattle. I think he plays for Seattle, Bob. He's a catcher. He has 23 home runs, the most
The
in
big
the
dumper.
majors. Who is that? I never heard of
Cal
this
Raleigh.
guy.
No, he's got almost 30 homers, and he's he's called the Big Dumper. And
Seriously? Well,
Yes.
now I love him. I've never heard of him before. I never heard of this guy before.
switch
Seriously.
hitting catcher, really good player. Made an impact in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but I mean, he plays in Seattle, so he doesn't get a lot of pub. Junior Griffey they liked, but Ichiro never got as much of a pub. There it is. You can buy the T-shirt, Curry.
Big dumper. Oh my
one of
goodness.
those. You need one of those, Curry.
Oh
Sure.
yeah, no question about it.
He has a fairly large backside.
Moving to something in baseball that matters. How about the NCAA tournament going on as we speak? My North Carolina Tar Heels advanced this afternoon by drubbing 14-4 Oklahoma. They had Oklahoma down in the second game and didn't beat them, and Oklahoma came back on them. But today, Carolina made short work, and now they go to the Super Regional, which will also be in Chapel Hill.
Who are they playing?
I'm not sure. That hasn't been announced yet because I think it might be Arizona, somebody like that.
I think you're right.
But
They know who they be playing depending on their region. But how about
we had
Vandy?
Vanderbilt and we had Vandy in Texas get beat before the thing even started.
That's crazy. Vandy, I think, is the first team that was rated number 1 going into the college playoffs since 1999 that lost in the series.
And they didn't even get to the finals of the series.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, think of Vandy, and then how about this one? I mean, Little Rock beat LSU. Little Rock has a losing record. They're 27-33 overall, at 8-16 in their league. and they beat LSU at LSU. Now, I guess they're playing tonight to see who wins that, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it probably won't be close, but
Yeah.
what a
But
great
still,
move.
for them to beat them at their place,
You
and
know,
for Texas and Vandy to lose that's huge. I mean, that's
I think
huge.
the team that took out Vandy was Wright State.
Right
That's
state.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know they played baseball. We know they play basketball, but wow, Wright State. And Wright State actually, in a game they lost in the regionals, the one game they lost, their pitcher was throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings and had only thrown 75 pitches, and they took him out.
Oh,
the bullpen blew the game, but Wright State came back and is on its way to a super regional. So
Yeah.
Well, speaking of teams in Louisiana, how about the NAIA?
yeah.
the
LSU,
team
LSU
59 and
Shreveport, 59-0. Are you kidding me? What?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
That's crazy. Think about that. 59
Baseball, yeah. To not have a single
Undefeated.
bad day. Yeah.
Undefeated.
Rich,
Yeah.
did you ever any of your basketball teams ever go undefeated?
No, 26
I mean,
and
that's
1.
hard to do.
It is very hard to do. Very hard to do. But you're talking about baseball, it's not the same lineup because you're throwing a different pitcher each game, right? In the championship game, they got down 4-0. So here you are, 58-0, and now you're in the championship game losing 4-0 after I think it was 3 innings or something like that. Obviously, they came back and won, but to do that for that many games with different
59
lineups,
straight. 59 straight. That's
that's incredible.
how about?
that is
And I
hard to do.
hate to
Yep.
do this, but I'm throwing the NCAA under the bus during this tournament.
Let's do it.
For what happened, I hate to say this, in the Duke game. Did you hear about this?
No.
The Duke center fielder. Now, I can't read my writing. H.A. Grassham or something. They were down 2-0 to Oklahoma State. This kid hit a home run, and in the dugout they put on a hard hat helmet. They put his hard hat helmet on him in the dugout. Now they're down 2-1. Now he's watching the game, and they get a single. They load the bases, get a single, score the leading run. This is in the 8th inning. AJ goes out in the field with his helmet, holding his helmet. He goes out on the field a few steps out of the dugout. The umpires come over, throw him out of the game.
Wow.
He's penalized for the next game he can't play. So Duke had to throw a pitcher into center field to take his place. Luckily, the pitcher made it out in the 9th inning. Duke wins the game, goes on to the super regional, but
Right.
this kid cannot play as it stands now. He's suspended for the first game in the super regional for having a helmet 2 feet out of the dugout. Well, that's ridiculous. I think they're going to have to change. I think they're going to have to let him play. But that's their ruling. That was their ruling.
Well, you got to use common sense sometimes.
Remember, in the big leagues, well, of course, John Olerud played first base with a helmet on, and Richie Allen, Dick Allen, now that he's in the Hall of Fame, he gets a promotion from Richie. But he played the outfield with a helmet on because he was afraid he was going to get hit in the head by a fly ball. He was not a very good outfielder.
Sometimes umpires and officials overreact too much.
Yeah.
I mean, they let certain things go by over and over again, and then they do a rule like that and say, okay, we're going to suspend the guy in the NCAA playoffs. How did the guy change the game? What did he do with the helmet?
Not only that, the umpire had to be looking for that. The umpire had to be looking for that, because if you're watching the game, you're not watching the guys in the dugout come out and celebrate. I mean, it's ridiculous. The umpire called. But Bob brought up Olerud, with his helmet, which always brings up the great story with Rickey Henderson was on a team with Olerud. He said, "Hey," he's wearing his helmet. I played with a guy that wore a helmet back in a couple years ago. And Olerud says, "Yeah, Ricky, that was me." Remember that story, Bob?
Yes, Ricky is one of a kind. I never got to meet Ricky, but he was indeed one of a kind. So Curry, you've thrown somebody under the whole NCAA under the bus, which is great. Rich, you got anybody else to throw under the bus?
I just, Major League Baseball is just so up and down. On Saturdays, here are 4 scores. Yankees lose 18-2. They're supposedly the best team in the American League, and they can't stay with the Dodgers 18-2. The Brewers beat the Phillies. The Phillies are supposed to be one of the best teams in their division. They beat them 17-7. The Rays, who they somehow, some way, they're play above their heads to me it seems like all the time. Their salaries is not even a tenth of what these other teams have, and they win 16-3 over Houston, and then the Nationals beat Arizona 11-7. Is there any pitching going on in the major leagues?
Look at the other scores from that Saturday.
I know
there were 2 1-0 games.
That's
The
right.
Cleveland
That's what I mean. It's so up and down. It's kind of crazy. How about but the pitcher from Philly, Bob, you probably know his name. He's only never gave up more than 3 runs this year. Yeah. I think he had the second best ERA in the National
Probably
League.
Zach Wheeler's their best guy, but yeah.
No, it wasn't Wheeler.
Oh, okay.
But he gave up 12 runs in 3.5 innings. 12 runs in 3.5 innings. Why would you leave a guy in there that long?
Hey, here's a speaking of bad pitching. Here's a stat that I found today. The Anaheim, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or whatever the hell they call themselves, just finished a weekend series in Cleveland, and their bullpen is so bad that the infielders that they have pitched in a couple of the runaway games have a better ERA than their bullpen or their starting pitcher. That's how bad the Angels pitching staff is. The scrubs that come in and pitch in the 17-2, 18-2 games have a better ERA than the other guys.
That's crazy.
I'll throw the Angels bullpen and the pitching coach and everybody involved in getting that bullpen. I'll throw them under the bus. That's a good one. That's pretty awful. Rich, Rich, Curry, any final thoughts?
Are we? So we're at the end here, right? I got a guy. I got a guy in. I got a guy. His name is Friesen Zaki, and he won the spelling bee. This guy won the spelling bee. You probably saw the publicity. Yes. He got the word éclaircissement, which is a French word, for God's sakes. How did they have French words in the spelling bee? That's ridiculous. Come on. You can't do that. But anyway, this guy,
did you ever use it in one of your stories, in one of your French Open stories?
Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means enlightenment. It means clearing up something, but it sounds like like an eclair, like a chocolate eclair. But so this guy, it turns out that Friesen Zaki, he's a 7th grader from Texas. It turns out he was runner-up last year. Yep. It turns out he's been in the spelling bee 4 years in a row. What are you what are you talking about? That's like
he's getting NIL money now.
That's like a horse. This is horse poo. That's like having horses allowed in the Kentucky Derby 4 years in a row. How can you be in a spelling bee for 4 years? I mean, he's a professional spellster, for God's sake. That's ridiculous. And listen to this. So that was the 20th round. In the 18th round, this guy Zaki, he had a word Comacina to spell, and he started out K-A, and he had whoops, because the word is spelled with a C. So he blew it. He missed his word. The thing is, all the other competitors also missed their words. So they were all reinstated to gasps from the audience, gasps and applause. They were all reinstated. So this guy got a 5th chance. How many times has he been in it? He's probably been in the thing more, and he doesn't want to admit it. But this guy, look, this was the 100th anniversary of the spelling bee. Okay, it's time for rules changes.
Curry, just tell me? Did you watch the whole spelling bee?
Rich, no.
Well, now we're back to ratings again. Hey, Rich, can we throw Curry under the bus for all the great Hall of Fame writing that he did? Because he's hurting because he never did use that word, and it's got second paragraph, no worse than that, written all over it.
He didn't know how to spell it. That's why he didn't use it. He didn't know how to spell it.
No. Well, Rich, I not only did not know how to spell it, but I turned it off early when I found out this guy, it was his 4th spelling bee. I said, no.
Oh, good stuff, guys. It was a great show. A lot of fun. A lot of people thrown under the bus. We'll come back and do it again next week. Thanks a lot for joining us. Again, Under the Bus brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks on Hilton Head Island. Hudson'sOnTheDocks.com.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Under the Bus is a production of the Loco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett with